What's up everybody, Teague from Battle City Games back with another post-Alliance Insight deck profile. Today we're taking a look at Evil Twins, an archetype that's been around since Gemini Impact, or Genesis Impact, I can't remember the name of the set, it's been so long. It's been around for a while at this point. It's gotten a trickle of support, but most recently, prior to Alliance Insight, it hadn't gotten any support since Burst of Destiny, so great to see some new support for the deck. Got 2 new cards in Alliance Insight. It got the brand new Leela Sweet, which is a main deck monster you'll see, and then the card you see in front of you, the brand new Kiss a Kill Deal, which is a Link 1 Light Fiend, which obviously has multiple implications for the deck. And this new support really allows the deck to extend better through hand traps, make more resilient boards, and then also a Light Link 1 Fiend, of course, has implications for the Fiendsmith engine. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to talk about some card choices, some ratios, and yeah. So starting out, because Kiss a Kill Deal requires a Kiss a Kill monster, we are on triple live twin Kiss a Kill. Because of Deal, she is now the superior live twin to have access to. And one of the great things with Deal, previously, this deck was very weak to Ash Blossom, Imperm, Veiler, because if you normal summoned Kiss a Kill, it got hit with any of those hand traps, you didn't have a way to continue into your Evil Twin monsters unless you drew one of a few select extenders. But now because of Deal, even if your live twin Kiss a Kill gets hit by a hand trap when you summon her, you'll still be able to continue your combos, and we'll explain that as we get into the deck profile. But triple copies of her. And then again, because of Deal, this is a card that was previously only a 1 or maybe 2 of at most, but we are on triple Kiss a Kill Frost. It is an extender from hand if you have a Leela monster, but primarily we're using it because it's a Kiss a Kill. So even normal summon this, link into Kiss a Kill Deal is now full combo. And additionally, the graveyard effect to be able to banish itself when your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand outside of a draw phase, and you draw a card as well, just helps this deck keep up an advantage and build up some cards on your opponent's turn as well. So triple Frost. And then for the Leela monsters, we're on 2 of a brand new Leela Sweet. So this card has a couple effects in the hand when your opponent activates a card or effect in response to your live twin activation. Only live twin, not evil twins, so make sure you remember that. When they do that, you can discard her from hand, and it actually negates that effect. So if you do summon Kiss a Kill, activate the effect, and maybe your opponent tries to chain Fuelos there, if you have Leela Sweet in hand, you can discard her and negate the Fuelos right then and there. So that does help you play through some disruptions a little bit better, especially a card like Fuelos or Meows. That would normally give this deck a little bit of trouble because of the amount of times we want to be summoning from a deck and extra deck in this deck. Then she also has a second effect, which is what makes her so powerful. When she's in the graveyard, if you have a Kiss a Kill monster on field, she can activate special summon herself back. So this is a card we want to be dumping off of our Deal's effect. Like I said, you can summon Frost, link Frost into Deal. Deal will send this for costs, and then she's in the graveyard to summon back, and now you have 2 monsters to go into your combo. We don't want 3 because she can be a little bit cloggy, but we do want 2 because if you draw your only copy, you're not able to send her with Deal, and that can present some combos or problems in your combo if you do get disrupted. So that's why we're on 2 copies. And then for the other Leela monster, we are on 1 live twin Leela. Some people I see still play 2 to 3 copies of this card because technically uninterrupted it is combo, but it is the worst way to get into your combo. If you do summon this and you get Ash, Veilered, anything like that, if you don't have Frost in hand, your combo is essentially dead in the water. So we don't want to open her. We want to open a Kiss a Kill monster, and we also don't want to clog on engine. Again, this is a deck where you're going to be drawing 1 to 2 extra cards on your turn. You're going to be drawing 1 to 2 extra cards on your opponent's turn. And we really want to make sure those cards are, at that point, are useful hand traps or disruption. We don't want to just be drawing more and more engine, something that's not really going to help us disrupt our opponent on their turn. So that's why we're only on 1 Leela. That's it for the live twin monsters in the main board. Moving into the Fiendsmith engine, we are on triple Engraver. Fiendsmith engine goes great with this deck, especially now that Kiss a Kill Deal is a thing. And being able to open with the Fiendsmith engine, set up something like a Caesar to protect you from Nibiru, and then summon a Kiss a Kill, go into deal, and do your Evil Twin combo from there is very powerful. So we definitely want to maximize our chances of opening the Fiendsmith combo, which is why we're on triple Engraver. We are on the 1 Lacrima. You don't need more than 1. You don't really want a hard draw because you never want to normal summon her. You always want to normal summon your live twin monsters. But you do want 1 for all of the various Fiendsmith combos. And then we are on the 1 Lurie. You need it for your track target, so that's why we have it in here. That's it for the non-hand trap monsters. Moving into the spells, we are on triple Sunny Snitch. This just lets us grab any of our live twin monsters, and that burn effect for when your opponent summons while you control an evil twin can build up and can help you a little bit of extra chip damage that gets you over the line, and also makes it harder for your opponent to play into your board if you're getting close to time. They do have to be mindful because with the amount of times that decks summon in a turn now, that damage can build up very quickly. So triple Sunny Snitch. And then we are on 1 Secret Password. This can search for Sunny Snitch. The reason we're choosing not to play additional copies is because of the popularity of Droll in the format right now. This deck doesn't have too much of a weakness to Droll. If you activate Sunny Snitch, search a Kiss a Kill, and they Droll you, you can still go full combo from there. You don't need the additional draws that you would get. It's just nice to have them. But if you go Secret Password, get Sunny Snitch, and they Droll you, now you can activate Sunny Snitch to get your live twin monster. So we don't want to play into that too hard. However, you may have noticed the deck doesn't have that many starters. So I decided to play 1 Secret Password just to bump up the consistency of seeing a starter by a little bit without making the deck too weak to Droll. Then for the other spells, we are playing 2 track. Again, just really want to open with access to Fiendsmith combo. And again, because of the prevalence of Droll, Engraver into track getting Droll doesn't let you continue your Fiendsmith combo. Just opening track into Lurie does let you go full Fiendsmith combo. So that's why I've decided to go with 2 copies of tracked. If you don't have 2 tracked, you can also go 1 tracked, 1 sanced. It's essentially going to get you to the same point. But if you do have 2 tracked, I recommend 2 tracked. And then for the last spell in the main deck, 1 Called by the Grave. Again, although we do have some responses to a card like Fuelos, Ash Blossom, things like that, still great to have Called by to potentially stop those. Like I said, the deck does have somewhat of a weakness to Fuelos and Meows primarily. So if we have the Called by to counter that, it's great. And I do really like Called by because it's one of the only cards that protects your combo that also can act as a disruption going second, activating it to banish an opponent's white binder from their graveyard when they're trying to banish it to prevent them from extending or banishing an opposing Fiendsmith card or a Mitsurugi card, whatever the case may be. I really do like the fact that Called by has applications going first and second. And then for the only trap in the deck that's not a hand trap, we just have the 1 Fiendsmith in Paradise. This combos with your Lacrima to be an additional disruption on your opponent's turn. Generally speaking, if you're playing full Fiendsmith package, you're going to include 1 copy of Paradise. And then moving into the hand traps, we do have a pretty large hand trap engine in this deck. That's because our actual engine itself is pretty small. And again, we get to do that additional drawing on our opponent's turn. So more hand traps are great. So we are on triple copy of Fuelos. This card just got reprinted in Stampede, so it's a little bit more accessible, which is great. And because of the power level of decks in the format, like Malice, like Mitsurugi Raizel, you really need high impact hand traps to try to dissuade your opponent from continuing to full combo on their turn. It's not going to say it's impossible, but 9 times out of 10, if a Malice board goes full combo, it's very unlikely that any deck is breaking that. So we want to dissuade our opponent from that, let them set up on a half board, something that we can play into much more efficiently. So triple Fua, and then along that same line of thinking, we are on triple Molcharmy Perulia. A little bit weaker than Fuelos in my opinion. I know if you've seen some of my other recent profiles, I was starting with Perulia, but seeing how the format's shaping out, I think Fua just is a little bit better into most decks, but Perulia isn't bad either. Dropping this in the draw phase does guarantee you typically at least one, if not two draws off of it. And again, it's just another card to dissuade our opponent from going full combo potentially. Even in Malice, if they want to go full combo, they're going to be summoning from the hand 3 to 4 times in a turn. Now, if you don't have access to the Molcharmy cards, just replace these with other hand traps. Yes, it's not going to be as powerful for being a potential turn ender or drawing into more cards, but disruption's disruption. So if you don't have access to the Charmies right now, just replace them with additional copies of Valor, Nibiru, Ghost Bell, any hand trap of your choice that you think plays well into the meta. Then for the other hand traps, we are on Triple Ash Blossom. Still a very powerful hand trap this format, especially because Malice does search more, so it just got better going into this format than it was in previous formats. Then for some other choices, double Ghost Ogre. Again, because we have so much space for hand traps, and we're going to be drawing on our opponent's turn, and potentially with Fuelos and Perulia, we want to have a selection of hand traps to draw. And Ghost Ogre is one of those hand traps that can be very powerful when your opponent's not expecting it and not playing around it. A Ghost Ogre on a Splash Mage, for example, can be very impactful. A Ghost Ogre on a True Light against Blue Eyes can be very impactful. So it's a hand trap that people don't typically play around right now, that can still be very high impact. Then from there, we are on double Infinite Impermanence. The reason we're only on 2 of this is because if we draw it on our opponent's turn with a Kiss a Kill effect, after we've already set up our board, it's not usable because we'll already control cards. So I didn't want to fully max out on this, but it is still a powerful hand trap, and it is still a card that going second. Even if we draw it for turn, it can still act as a board breaker as well, so I still wanted to include 2 copies. Then we are on 1 Valor. This is what is replacing the 3rd copy of Impermanence in the main deck, just because, again, if we draw it when we already have board established, it's still usable. So kind of wanted a little bit of a balance there, but Imperm is the overall stronger card, and again, an okay card to draw as your number 6 going second, but 1 Valor. And then for the last hand trap in the deck, just 1 Nibiru. It is nice, again, that because of Kiss Kill Deal, it's okay if we have a monster on board when we summon our Kiss Kill. Not being able to summon from deck does not mean we can't go full combo anymore. And Nibiru is one of the most powerful cards we can draw into off of a Fuelos or a Perulia. So it's just kind of that blowout ability that after your opponent's done their half combo or whatever they decide to do, you have the potential to draw into that Nibiru and just blow them out if they weren't playing around it. So 1 Nibiru. That's it for the main deck. It's a clean 40. Moving into the extra deck, we do have the brand new Kiss a Kill Deal that you've heard me reference. So she is a light Link 1 Fiend monster that requires a Kiss a Kill monster. You can only Link summon her once per turn, and then she has an activated effect, so an ignition effect, that sends a Leela monster from deck to graveyard or extra deck for cost. That's important to always remember. And then if her effect resolves, for the rest of the turn, whenever your opponent responds to a Leela or a Kiss a Kill effect, immediately after your opponent's effect resolves, you draw a card. So it's kind of like a reverse Max C. We're not too concerned with the drawing part, but it's great if it resolves and you get a draw true off of it. Awesome. Really, it's the fact that it sends a Leela for cost that we care about. One thing I will mention, just a little kind of tip, because the draw happens when your opponent responds to an effect, a Leela or Kiss a Kill, it is important that you always activate their effects with priority on summon, unless it just completely doesn't make sense. Because if you pass your priority and then your opponent imperms and then you chain to their imperm, you're not going to get that draw. But if you declare priority, they're forced to chain a response at that point. You'll get the draw off of it, so some additional cards for you. But this is very powerful. Just, again, being able to get us into combo off of a single Kiss a Kill is great, and then being that light Fiend to also get us into the Fiendsmith side of our decks. Extremely powerful card. We only need 1 because we can recycle it with Engraver if we need to, so we only need 1 copy. Then for the other Evil Twin links, so I'm on 2 Kiss a Kill. I do see some people play 1 copy of each of the Evil Twin links. I've chosen to go with 2 A little bit scared of a card like Cashier Unicorn. Also a little bit scared of a card like Bestial. I know not too many decks in the format are playing them, but if you only have access to one and your opponent does hit you with an early Bestial, it's going to severely hinder your ability to play the grind game, play that mid-range game, which is something this deck excels at. So I want to be safe and have access to a second copy just in case it's needed. For that same reason, also onto Evil Twin Leela, just so that we have that additional copy in the extra deck in case we get Bestialed, in case we get Cashier Unicorn. Then for the non-evil, well, one more Evil Twin link. One Trouble Sunny. It would be really nice to be able to fit two, again, for that grind game, but just not super possible because of how tight the extra deck is. And you can survive off of one. You're going to be looping this with a bow. You can always shuffle it back even with Engraver if you need to. But this is a very powerful card that's going to let us extend our combos, get more disruption on our opponent's turn. So definitely want a copy. Then for the non-evil twin links, we've got one McCracker. Not every build is on this card. Again, it is something that helps you with the grind game, being able to link any 2-effect monsters into this late in the game, then discard a card and revive either your Trouble Sunny, your Abal, or just one of your other evil twin links if you need to. It's just powerful for that grind game and helps you hang in there a little bit longer. Then you've heard me mention her multiple times. We are playing one Abawaku. Extremely powerful card in this deck, being a Link 4 Fiend. It's very easy to use your Evil Twins to go into Trouble Sunny, activate Trouble Sunny to bring them both back, and then link them both into Abal. And then Abal can activate her effect to revive the Trouble Sunny back, giving you more disruptions during your opponent's turn. And then also, if she does make it back to your standby phase, you're going to be getting her effect to draw typically at least 3 to 4 additional cards, which is really going to help you fix your hand and make sure that you're set up to break any board that your opponent may have established. So one Abal. Then for Fiendsmith, one Requiem. I would love to fit 2, but again, it's just a space thing. If you're wanting to fit a second one, you could cut down on one of the Evil Twin links too, Link 2s, but I've chosen to keep them at 2 copies apiece instead. Then one Sequence, again, just typical to get into our fusion plays. One Agnum Day. Not only does it help you kill easier, but Agnum Day is actually part of your combos that play around or play through Nibiru in this deck. So we definitely want to have that one copy because we do want to always play around Nibiru. Then the Unlinked Seed in the deck, one Wave High King Caesar. We're not playing Djinn. You may have noticed we're not playing Leela Treat. Just for Djinn, it's a space issue. Again, we have a lot of ways to play around Nibiru at this point, and Djinn is just not a necessary option. And then the Leela Treat in the main deck, again, it's not necessary. It's kind of a brick. It doesn't get you into your Kiss a Kill deal by itself, which is why we decided to cut that package. Then for the fusions, one Necro Princess. This is how we get into our Caesar using our Requiem equip. We're playing one Duke of Demise. Again, this is one of those cards that helps you play through Nib. If you want to see that combo, leave a comment down below. I'll be happy to post a short video explaining how that combo works. But this is how we can play through Nib. So that's the primary reason he's in here. And then for the last one, we just have that Desiree. Of course, if we're playing the full Fiendsmith package, Desiree is an extremely powerful card. There's a lot of boards where we can choose to either end on Desiree, Trouble Sunny, and Agnum Day, or we can end on Caesar, Trouble Sunny, Agnum Day. It's our choice. So just having those options is great. And that wraps up the deck profile, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm really happy to see this deck get more support in Alliance Insight. I'm really happy to see that it even got a top 32 slot at YCS Providence and has gotten a couple of regional tops as well. I think this deck is a little bit of a sleeper. one that not everybody's familiar with, which can always help you in some matchups. And I'm really excited to see where it goes and how it continues to grow. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on the deck in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about the ratios. Do you think that Leela needs to be bumped up a little bit? Do you think that it's okay to try to get away with just one of each Link 2 in the extra deck? Let me know your thoughts. Remember, keep an eye out for more Alliance Insight content coming all the way up until the next Battles of Legends set. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. Thanks, guys.